Hey guys, Kat here, and today I want to talk about what to do after a binge eating episode. So a little bit of background, I've been there before. I had binge eating disorder for 3 years, and so I know that now that I know that, I went through it so I can help you guys and I can be the person for you guys that I wish I had during that time. I did talk a little bit more about my recovery in this video. I'll put the thumbnail somewhere. And you can watch it either now or after or whenever you want to. And yeah, so I'm gonna tell you guys some tips that helped me after a day of binging or a night. I was a night binger. And then hopefully you can take these tips and hopefully they can help you on your journey. So a little side note, the world is in flames right now. So if you're feeling like really chaotic in your head and you've resorted back to some old habits of coping, such as stuff like binging, know that you're not alone and that there is light at the end of the tunnel and at the end of this year, hopefully. But we will survive this and you can take back your power. You can take back your life and your control. And yeah, okay. So let's get right into it. So, you binged. What are you gonna do now? You feel gross, you feel guilty, you feel like you don't wanna move, you feel like you don't wanna be seen, you feel like people know, and you're embarrassed and you don't wanna talk about it, but you kinda need to talk about it. There's a lot of thoughts and feelings going on in this head. And then you're probably gonna want to restrict and over-exercise to make up for the extra calories that you took in. And that is where the cycle needs to be broken. What helped me was to stop tracking calories and macros and calories burned and all of that jazz. No more numbers. And to start listening to my body and listening to it intuitively, to relearn what hunger felt like and what fullness felt like. At the time, I did try to hire a few coaches and that didn't work for me, and I did need to tell them, hey, I'm not ready to do this. And if you were like me, then you felt guilty, you felt like you failed them, you felt like you failed yourself, you felt like there was something wrong with you. But in the long run, it was one of the best choices I could have made for myself during that time in my journey. So I highly recommend to not track the next day and to do movement that makes you feel good. Not even label it as exercise, really. It's just like, if you know me, then you know that for my workouts and stuff, I do movements that I enjoy to express my body and to work on performance goals that I want to achieve, rather than focusing on calories burned. I have no idea how many calories I burn in a day anymore, and I don't care. Another thing is I don't track my calories anymore with like my intake or anything like that, but I focus on how my body's feeling, what nutrients it needs to do the things that I want to do. So if you have a coach and you binged, and I highly recommend communicating with them, because communicating with your coach is going to be the hugest thing. Whether you choose to maybe postpone training with them for a little while so you can focus on healing your relationship with your food and your body, or focus on whatever you need to heal in your life, or you tell your coach and maybe you readjust your numbers. Because what could have been happening is that you've been dieting so long that your body's like, I need food. And so it's telling you with a binge. And maybe instead of dropping your coach entirely, you just need to adjust your numbers and maybe not restrict as much, or maybe you need like a refeed day or something like that. So it really is going to be very individual depending on you, and then also what your coach says. And if your coach does not understand, you have complete rights to not have them anymore. I still had like half of my coaching left, and I dropped it off. Money comes and goes, and it will come back. And what is most important is your health. And that means taking care of yourself, even if you lose some money by dropping them earlier than you wanted to. That's okay. You're taking care of yourself, which is so important. And another note on tracking, if you are tracking your calories or your macros, If you have a history with an eating disorder, or even if you don't, I would definitely recommend asking yourself and reevaluating if you're ready to track. Have you made peace with food? Have you made peace with your body? Are you tracking for the right reasons? Ask yourself, where is your need to change coming from? Is it coming from a source of self-loathing or a source of self-criticism? So if it's a source of self-loathing, that means you just hate yourself and you hate your body, and that's never healthy. And highly recommend working on your mental health, building yourself up, giving yourself self-love, self-confidence, working on that first, and then working on everything else. But if it comes from, self-criticism, where you're like, I love myself, I love my body, but I know I could do better and I want to change a few things, then that's okay. But again, maybe you need to reevaluate and be like, oh, am I cutting my numbers too soon? Or do I have standards for myself that are too high right now for my lifestyle? So I think that's really important to figure out for you as an individual. Just remember that, like fitness models and stuff, that is their life, that is their job. You might have a job outside of the fitness industry where you have to sit and you have to take care of kids and all that jazz. So figure out what is sustainable for you. Now, on a note of feeling physically just disgusting after a binge, which is totally okay, I get it. Some things that helped me out was like wearing clothes that just made me feel comfortable, when I would go out. So maybe it would be this like bit baggier, which is okay. I don't want to have that super tight clothing, but also clothes that still made me feel good, like that were still flattering for my body. So you don't want to feel like a sack of potatoes, You could feel like a sack of potatoes, but you could still look cool. Another thing would be to drink a lot of water, because you just want to flash out any of the stuff you ate. Like most likely for me, it was like I ate a lot of carbs, a lot of like desserts and salty foods. So drinking the water is really going to help to get rid of that excess stuff. A lot of the excess weight is water weight, because with extra carbs hold on to more water weight. And so drinking a bit more water is going to help to flush that out. Same with like the sodium. Sodium's going to hold on to water, so that's going to help to flush that out. I always think of like YouTubers that did like 10K challenges, and I think, okay, they had a huge day of eating, and then some of them do like follow-up days. It only takes like sometimes 2 days to get back to their normal weight. And speaking of weight, I highly recommend do not weigh yourself. Don't weigh yourself. Take a break from the scale. And if anything, maybe you don't need to weigh yourself anymore. I took a break from weighing myself for so long, so long, and it wasn't until maybe like a couple months ago that I started weighing myself again, because I have certain goals for myself. But now it comes from, again, like I was talking about, self-criticism, not in a bad way, but like, I could step my game up. But rather than self-loathing. And then for the food and stuff, eat food that makes you feel good. Like really learn which food's like, ooh, I just had an apple, it made me feel amazing. Like stuff like that. Like go to the grocery store, stock up on food that makes you feel good inside. As for working out and stuff, as I was saying, do movement that makes you feel good, whether it be just turning on music at your own house and then dancing around, without any judgment for yourself, whether it be doing yoga, whether it be going for a walk, lifting weights, whatever it is for you. Do whatever makes you feel just like invigorated and happy, and that expresses your body and shows it like loving movements. So it's doing movement that makes you feel good rather than doing movement that is punishing yourself. So let's not track that day for calories burned either. If you are going to a gym, maybe bring some headphones to play some happy music, something like that to get you out of your head. And like the day after a binge, I always was like, people see how gross I look and how big I feel and all that. But putting on the headphones kind of put me in my own little world. So it does help quite a bit. Another thing that I would do is journal. So journaling, I would just say like how I felt, maybe what I binged on, what happened during that day, what I did after, how I felt after, all of that stuff with no judgment. Because yes, you know, you'll probably, like, some people recommend to call a friend and stuff, and like Justin even said, like, you can call me like before you feel like you're going to or after, but I just always felt so embarrassed. But when you have that journal, it's like you're talking to yourself, you're venting to yourself, and you don't feel that judgment, even though the person that you're calling probably won't judge you or anything, but they might not understand in the way that you need them to. But even if you do want to call a friend, that's okay too. Just like tell them what you're going through, and I think that's important to do, is to have that person there for you. Even if they can't understand you, at least they're there for you. And I think that's important to know, that you're not alone. All right, so binging, it happens for a reason. So it's important to reevaluate and see what is out of whack in your life. What do you need to work on? For me, I still hadn't made peace with food or my body. I wasn't happy with what I was doing in my life. I just didn't feel good. And so I had to take some time to work on that. You know, you want to make sure, like, yeah, what do I do after a binge? But like, how do I prevent one too in the future? And so it's making that connection of what is causing this. And I think that's really important, to take the time for yourself to focus on that. And for me also, it was to work on like a lot of like self-love. And that doesn't mean just like bubble baths and doing your nails and stuff. I mean, it could, totally. But it's also like saying no to things you don't want to do. And it's really just taking the time to get to know yourself and how to take care of it the best way you can. And maybe that means that you've been taking care of someone else or everyone else for so long, that you've been neglecting yourself for so long. So it's important to figure out if you need to take that time for yourself. I do have a video on making peace with food too. So if you're like, how do I do that? I have a video. It's right somewhere. I'm gonna put it there. But that's something you can check out. That was a huge step into stopping binging for me. So, all right, so a little flashcard vision. Don't restrict the day after. Don't punish yourself with exercise. Breathe and move on. Those are the 4 things that are most important after a binge. You have to break the cycle. And then flashcards of do eat intuitively. Do reevaluate if you need to change, either not by not tracking or by adjusting your numbers. Do exercise or slash movement, as I like to call it, that makes you feel good. Do stay away from the scale for just a little bit or a lot of it. Just remember that you have the power to break the cycle. I hope this helps you guys. And then I did have on my Instagram stories, I'm so sad about this, but I asked you guys if you had any more questions that I would put at the end of this video. And then usually if you go back to your archive on Instagram stories, it shows you the questions that people answered, but for some reason they took that away. So I don't have them, but I remember 2 of the questions. So I'm gonna answer them now. Okay, so one question was, what do you do in the middle of a binge when you know you should stop? For me personally, it's hard to stop. Like, you are on autopilot. You are not even like, it's hard. You can't stop. I don't know. It's just like you're in this whole other world, I feel. So what I was thinking, I'm like, how do you, because I didn't quite get this down, but I did get down, you know, not binging. But I would prepare. I would prepare when you're in the correct mindset to have something that acts as a trigger, a new trigger that you have to look at during a binge episode. So, for example, maybe like, you know, during your binges that you binge on cereal. So maybe you have like a picture of, not a supermodel, but like, I don't know, like something that makes you happy, something like a friendly reminder that you're not alone, like a family member, or a picture of me. No, I'm just kidding, don't do that. Or something that you put there next to the cereal boxes, and maybe like instead of reaching for it, you'll, like right that second you'll see that picture, and it'll act as the new trigger that will help you to prevent that binge. Like that's something that I was like, maybe that would work. And then the other question, I don't know if I quite got the wording, but it had to do with like what to do when you're stressed from an event, like either like it was like the sickness or the death of a loved one, or pretty much, you know, anything chaotic in your life. So during those times, some people tend to turn to food to cope, or they might just go on a full binge. But during those times, I would allow yourself, like if you turn to sweets, to allow yourself to have like an extra sweet or two, because that's how binging starts. When we restrict ourselves so much, then chaos comes, and our brains are like, then I want it more. So I think it's important to just allow yourself to have that time, and then remind yourself that it's not a forever thing. You know, you'll get back to your eating and all that jazz, and to just kind of comfort yourself like, this is okay. You know, I'm stressed, I'm gonna eat an extra piece of cake, and it's okay. I know this past week I ate quite a bit more, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It's cool. Like, I'll get back into the swing of things. My body's like, I want a little bit of extra food, and I'm like, okay. So I did that, and then I felt a bit stronger in my workouts, and it was great. No, that's okay to have a little bit of extra stuff. You know, if you're stressed, it's okay. You'll get back to it. Alright guys, so that is it for now. I hope these tips helped you out. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any more questions, if you want me to do like a Q&A sometime, a live Q&A, whatever you guys want. I am here to help, and yeah, just know that there is a light. There is a light for us, and that you can break the cycle. I did. I'm an example. I haven't binged for like over a year now. It's very nice. It's very exciting. So I will be your prime example of that. Words, cat, words. Alright guys, I will see you later. Have an amazing rest of the day. Do all the things. Stay strong, warriors. RAWRR.